Hi friends, if you didn't know, I love decluttering, organizing so much that I turned my hobby into a paid passion. I love helping overwhelmed moms feel peace in their homes through the power of decluttering their spaces. This recording was 2 hours long and will be broken down into a few episodes. You're welcome. I am joined by 3 other amazing women who, like me, like to organize other people's items and want to bring you ideas, inspiration, and motivation. So turn up those headphones, get up, and go organize that sock drawer as you listen along and feel inspired. Enjoy part 1 of this series. Welcome back to Organized Chaos, Stories with Shabana. This is the place where life's beautiful messes transform into wisdom, laughter, and inspiration. In each episode, I'll be sharing real stories, mine and others, about the twists, turns, and unexpected lessons that life brings. Together, let's learn to turn life's messes into messages, struggles into stories, and chaos into clarity. So come join me, friends, while I remind you the true magic is with us all. We hold the power to create a life we not only like, but love. Let's do this.
Well, hi guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have all you guys here. I have Jill Kane and Jacqueline Van Bierk and Shabana Knight. We are going to talk about organizing our minds, our homes, finding ways to clear the clutter and to hear the whispers within, and to let the light that has been calling to us all along and let that in. I'm so excited to have you guys here. I think this is going to be fun to talk about decluttering, and it's really more than just our minds. It's about decluttering our spaces and letting things in. And let's just introduce ourselves first. Let's start with that. Jill, you want to go first?
Hello. Thank you. As soon as you said that, I was like, what would I say?
Oh,
Hi, I am Jill Kane. It's nice to meet you. And in many ways, I represent 2 things. One, I used to have a business called Clear All the Clutter, and I helped people clear the physical clutter out of their home and clear the mental clutter out of their mind so that they could create lives that they love. And in the twist of fate, I got stage 4 cancer and lost my ability to walk in 2024. And everything just stopped. And so, one, the benefit having had a clear mind and a clear home was that other people could step in and do systems easily, that I could scan a room and not feel overwhelmed as I was moving through healing. And when I was moving through healing, I realized I don't ever want to go in another person's garage and clean out a dirty mouse nest or mouse poop anymore. So I shifted to creating communities for people, Hello Bloom Collective, so to help individuals still bloom and thrive. I'm not directly going into your home anymore, but I can guide you from a coaching standpoint, from a love standpoint, to make sure that as you're navigating your own life circumstances and your challenges, your stuff isn't something that gets in the way of your healing. So that is me. It's lovely to meet you.
great. Shabana, you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Shabana. I'm the host of Organized Chaos, Stories with Shabana. It's a podcast. And I just love cleaning and decluttering and organizing, and more in the organizing space. I've been doing it for the last 8 or 10 years, more on a professional level. And I love helping moms feel more peace in their home. And I really feel like that comes from decluttering their space and just bringing that peace and joy back to their home and their surrounding, and just helping them find joy again in their home.
Love that. Okay.
Heather, what about you?
Yes.
I am, well, creator of What's That Whisper podcast and product design. And I also am in retail. So I help people with the shopping needs, right? So I also think that we can throw all of these ideas and all these products into people's dressing room, and it becomes overwhelming if you don't curate it or to make it really simplified, and it becomes overwhelming. And that's how our spaces can become overwhelming, like a busy garage, right? Or my closet in the hall that has my shoes and dresses. I have Christmas presents in there. They're like falling out, so I can't even see half of the stuff in there. So I just want to remind people that we have to clear our spaces and our mind and let things go. And that takes a lot of work, right? And progress and process to do this, to hear the whispers, because I think we all have whispers inside of us to be heard. That's where I come from. Okay, Jack.
My name is Jacqueline Van Bierk. I am a singer, songwriter, artist, and I also love inspiring, empowering others. I have a podcast called Her Gypsy Rebel, which is all about taking risks and living the not so conventional life. I've always loved decluttering and organizing because as a creative, for me, I cannot create when I'm surrounded by a mess. And I don't know, maybe it's a German in me, I don't know, but I like order and but everybody has a different personality. We'll talk about that more. But for me, I need to vary, and I love cleaning in general. But so I cleaned a few places and I kind of enjoyed it, but then I was like, I don't know if I want to do this full time, because I want to focus more on the organizing and decluttering, and not just decluttering your space, but also decluttering your mind. And the digital declutter, because we live in a world where we just get bombarded by so many things. So my mission is really to simplify people's lives, because I am living the RV life. I'm a minimalist, so I had to learn, I love shopping, I love dressing up, but I had to learn to live with less, and less is more, because we don't need as much as we think we do, and consumerism can be very addictive. So I just want to help people, not just women, but people, to realize, stop and think before you purchase, be more conscious of those kind of things. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, guys. I have kids, so I've had to be very organized and like with all their toys, like when they were little. And I got really good at hiding all their toys, like in baskets, and that kind of like frees up space. I think that when people feel so overwhelmed with all the things that they have, or how do you start? Like, how do you start? Let's just say we organize a space in our house, but how would you start cleaning up, like let's just say your closet or all your kids' toys, that these things have sentimental value or sentiment, and you look at it, and I still have the little baby clothes that I just don't want to get rid of because it reminds me.
When I'm working with a client, I actually start in a space that makes them feel the most happy. I find that if it's the mom and it's the woman, and she, primary gender roles, she's the one that's handling most of the order, the sorting, the cleaning, the magic. I want there to be a space for her right as we get started that feels restful and restorative and magical for her. And so I find that when someone has a place for that to be for themselves, then they can start to tackle what's next. So if you're combining mental clutter and space clutter, I find that there's a primary person that holds it all. And for me and my family, that was me. And so when I looked around the house, I started with my bedroom. Bedrooms can be complicated in my experience with, women, because of the closet. We've got what fits now, what fit before, what will fit again, what might not fit. It's like a whole emotional thing, right? So I try to maybe leave the closet, but look at the space around me. What is the energy next to my bed? What is the energy when I first wake up? And what am I looking at? And create a safer space that feels like when they go to that space at the end of the day, it's calming. When they wake up, it's calming. And then I try to tackle what's next. And it's a similar energy. Whenever I'm working with a client, it's always, tell me about this room. Like, what is the energy that you want to create in this space? What are you doing? What is your family doing? How do you want everybody to feel? Give me picture for me. Tell me the dream of this space for you. And helping people tap into what they would love and what they would love it to look like. Then they're able to come back to a space. And that's what I'm continuing to remind them of. So if they're sitting in front of a pile of toys and they're like, I don't know. I'm like, let's reconnect with the dream. What would you love? Would you love this space to be? How would you like your kids to interact with each other in this space? How would you like your kids to interact with this stuff? And so we use that vision and that dream as the grounded place that all decisions are made from. And then usually, honestly, I use sort of like a container system. So when I was working with a client recently, I was like, this is the one bin that you have for these stuffies. And there was no way ever all of the stuffies were ever going to fit in this one bin. So I do find that introducing people to a container or a boundary or a size, one, it gives them clarity. Oh, okay. Wow, I've got to get rid of a lot. And two, it's almost like a boundary. People can often, if you've not been able to set boundaries for yourself internally as a person in your relationships, look around your house. It's playing itself out through your stuff. So really starting through your relationship with your stuff to introduce people to setting boundaries and honoring the boundaries. So those are some of the things that I do when I'm working with a client, is to really look at the dream, the vision, kind of understand what the clutter is really about, what the problem is, and then start to introduce boundaries.
How about for you, Shabana?
Well, for sure. I think it's just so interesting hearing from other people's perspective because we're all so different and unique in how we go about things. So I typically, with my clients, I will jump on a Zoom call or a FaceTime video and say, let's have this free consultation, let's talk and stuff. And then I have them, flip the camera around and like, show me your mess. What's causing you the most amount of stress? And let's figure out like an action step of what we're going to do first and stuff. And that cuts out time for me for driving to their house and walking around their house and talking about it and stuff, which is great. I'm like, oh, I should have done that sooner. And then when we're finally there, we can just get started. But sometimes that changes. So every situation is case by case. And typically the main question is what causes you the most amount of stress? Let's start there. And then I also do the same thing. I'm like, if you could just close your eyes, what would you love? What would you want this space to be? What do you see? And for one of my clients, she's like, I just want the couch cleaned up so we can all sit as a family on the couch and have movie night together and just be close. And you could tell her love language was time together and closeness and like physical touch or whatever. So it's just casting vision. And then they're like, they're bought into the vision and they also are able to express like, oh my gosh, I have so much shame and guilt. I can't believe I'm even inviting you into this space of all my dirty laundry. And you're not going to judge me. Are you sure? This is so embarrassing. I'm like, nope, not going to judge you. I just want you to feel better. Just like you would go to the doctor if you had a broken bone. I just want you to feel better. And yeah, so coming from a place of love and understanding and healing and helping people and seeing that it's more than just the clutter.
I love that. I guess I'll go next. You know how I like to start? I like to organize like items, right? And put like items together because I feel like you open up a junk drawer and you're like, there's so much stuff in here. I'm like, one year I organized all the pins in the house. I was like, why are they in 25 spots? Maybe 3, that's fine. But I think then you see how much stuff you're holding on to and you actually don't need. So I think those are good little tricks and to make sure you have like items together. And I mean, that's what I do in retail. So you have to organize things. And once you organize, or maybe just put them like in those separate piles, then you could actually see what you have and what you want to get rid of. And I think that it just makes it so much clearer. And I don't organize, well, actually, I organized my mother-in-law's garage, and that's what I had to do there because it was boxes after boxes. And I was like, I don't know what's here until I put all the movies together, all the vases together. That's how I like to start.
I love that. For me, I think that 15 minutes, just 15 minutes a day, go one draw and like start. For me, I think it's important to start where you spend most of your time. For me, it would be on my desk where I work on music, do videos. I need everything around me to be nice. So, but what you were saying, like in drawers, for example, like, there's one drawer that you throw everything in, and then at some point you're like, oh my God, what is in this drawer? So I save these little glasses, like, like mason jars or whatever. And just I just do them for like pins or for pens, and then depending on the personality, my boyfriend, for example, like he will not know where anything is. So he's like, and there's personalities that they just don't know, so I have to label it. And when I label it, then he's like, oh, okay, now I know, and he still don't know. It's easier. So I would say start very simple, especially if you feel so overwhelmed, the place you spend the most time at, and then one draw at a time so that you don't feel so overwhelmed. And the truth is we build momentum, right? Suddenly you might really enjoy it. You're like, ooh, this is fun. And then you build from there.
Yeah, it's like creating a new habit. I have a lot of coworkers that be like, Heather, where is this in the back? I was like, oh, I got you. It's like I just kind of go take like a little picture of things that I have or that I own. Doesn't mean I know everything that's in my house, but I just think it helps, know where things are. And, a lot of guys, you're right, won't see the ketchup in the refrigerator, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
because we're all different, there's a lady, the Clutterbug, I think is her name, and she is great, because she has like actually a quiz where like different personalities, like some people just drop stuff and they don't know, they just leave it there. That's my guy. And I told him, I said, okay, this needs to stop. And he wasn't aware of it. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, how could you not see that? But some people, they're not bothered by it. So especially when you have, a couple or in a family where people just don't realize it, they're not aware of it.
One thing my clients usually do is when I say, what's the room that stresses you out the most, they'll bring me to a room, but then they'll say, oh, my desk stresses me out the most. And they'll have all this stuff on the desk. And I say, okay, I hear you. However, you're going to have to trust me that we're going to get to your desk. I promise we'll get to your desk, but it's more important that we tackle the rest of the room before we get to the desk, because I promise you the bigger stuff will be much easier to take care of, and you're going to build that momentum. And then once we get to your desk, you're going to be a pro at it, of getting rid of stuff. So another way of like, kind of like how I get started with my clients is more the bigger picture, bigger clutter, instead of getting exhausted on all the little decision makings, because that's the part where it's quicker burnout and mental exhaustion, is all the little stuff in the drawers or the massive desk of stuff. So I find it easier to make quicker, faster decisions on bigger items in a room.
I love that, because I was just telling Jill, I just sold something on Macari for my house. And I was like, Heather, just start with the big things first. Like I got rid of a chair like, 6 months ago. Start with the biggest things that you can get rid of first, and that clears up so much space.
Yeah, that's
love
the
that.
approach I take too. Like when I was working with a woman in her playroom, I was like, let's get it all into categories, right? These are stuffies, these are blocks, these are this. And it's, you can move so quickly. There's just 3 or 4 categories, books, like 4 of them. You're just quickly moving. And it's like, great. And then we're going to go through one at a time. And that's when the tiredness can set in. So I was working with a client last week, and she likes to have plants. So she has a lot of vases and jars. And I'm like, every jar, every jar up and down in the garage here. And it was just
I need
like,
those.
and she's, oh my God, I had no idea. And I was like, I'm so sorry, right? I know this is painful. So I don't come from an ordered background. It's not like I'm not type A. I'm not ordered from birth. That is not who I am. I am ADHD, cluttered, overwhelmed human, financial distress from credit cards, from buying too much stuff, and healing my way out of it. So when I'm with someone that's in that space, I'm like, yeah, there's no judgment here. I am you, you are me. Like, I still have my days. Like, Christmas is a wackadoo time of year for me. I'm like, all the people, like, dear therapist, how are you? What is happening internally? This is insane. So if I think they feel comforted that they're not alone, I really am not judging you. I'm like, I am you, you are me. And helping them to remove the shame, to know that they are enough, to know that they're worthy of love, and to not yet get into the tiny details. So all of them came to one spot. And then we talk about, how are you feeling? How does this make you feel? What are you noticing? What, sometimes we'll write it down. Sometimes if it's between sessions, I'll have them journal on a couple of things to really see it. Tell me the story of, she was quickly able to determine some that she didn't, some that she did. And then there was this middle pile. And I was like, okay, tell me the story of these items. And I find that often someone just needs to tell the story of the item. And then once they tell the story, they're like, I don't need to keep this. Or sometimes we'll take a picture, right? They're holding on to things that were handed down from someone that has been passed away, and they feel obligated to keep this for some reason. And I'm like, tell me the story. Do you love it? Does it bring you joy? No, it brought my deceased person joy. But do you love it, right? Or if we've got 20 things that your family member who's passed given you, do you need all 20? Is there one that you love and represents the person? And then let it go. And so that is a very emotional process. It is very emotional. I just believe that we have stuff for reasons. And so to really, it's, in my experience doing what I do, it's not pretty boxes and pretty spaces for the sake of pretty boxes and pretty spaces. It's about having a conversation with the fears and the wounds and the loss. And oftentimes for most people, we buy a lot of stuff to distance ourselves from those feelings. And so to be able to sit with someone in the middle of that is more than just being a clutter coach. It's being a confidant, a guide to help people be able to live in a space that is connected to what they really love, and that doesn't take the majority of their time. I find the holidays really hard because we're getting a lot of stuff. We have a really great ritual around this time where we clear out before we receive in. So the past few weeks, we've been looking around our house, like, what are we ready to let go of? What are we ready to release? Knowing that generosity is on its way to us. But that can be hard for kids. That could be hard for adults. But some of it is like, Jacqueline, like you were saying, I have something called Tidy in 10. I want to be able to spin in a room, sometimes my house, a floor for 10 minutes, right? If someone's like, I'm on their way, one, I want my house to be in a place where I don't care if you come over right now. I don't care. Or if I want it a little nicer, 10 minutes, that's all it needs. That's my clutter goal. And that's a very freeing feeling. It's lovely to know that anybody can come in and out at any time that they want to because I'm not owned by my stuff.
Hey you, yes you. Thank you so much for listening to Organized Chaos, Stories with Shabana. If you love this episode as much as I did, hit that subscribe button, leave an outstanding review, and share it with a friend who needs some inspiration. Thank you for being part of this community. Remember, in every bit of chaos, there is always a story waiting to emerge. Who knows, maybe sharing your story might inspire others to share theirs. The possibilities are endless. Let's live in the possibilities. This podcast is sponsored by Happy Mail. I created Happy Mail for when you don't have the words, Happy Mail does. Happy Mail sends handwritten cards of encouragement that uplift, comfort, and reminds everyone they matter. Happy Mail is better than a McDonald's Happy Meal, spreading kindness, not calories. Click the link in the show notes and get your Happy Mail sent ASAP. Limited to U.S. residents only.